NIT first round action continues as two teams from the Tar Heel State invade the Lone Star State. Davidson takes on North Carolina State from Denton, Texas. The opening round of the NIT finds Davidson taking on North Carolina State, with the winner facing off next Thursday night against the winner of Colorado State and Buffalo. Hello, everybody. I'm Derek Jones alongside Corey Alexander. And tonight, Corey, this is the first time these two teams have met since 2008 when Steph Curry had 44 points for Davidson.
And if they're going to be able to knock off NC State again tonight, they're going to need a big performance from Kellen Grady, who is trying and 10 points away from joining Steph Curry in the 2,000-point club for Davidson College. But if he's going to get those points, he's going to have to go through Manny Bates, one of the best defenders in the ACC, led the ACC in block shots at close to 3 per game. And they form a big-time front line at NC State with he and DJ Funderburk up front.
One of the nation's best in terms of shot blocking is Manny Bates. And we'll see what North Carolina State and Davidson have in store for us tonight, as right off the bat, the opening tap goes in favor of the Tar Heels as they go to action quickly, as it's Jericho Helms right off the bat with a slam.
And now, Derek, I know you're from up north, but you just called NC State the Tar Heels, and you will never be able to come into the state of North Carolina if you do that again. So I'm trying to look out for my guys' safety, but that's the Wolfpack. We don't want that problem.
My apologies. So the Wolfpack back to it, up to a situation where they're trying to get themselves into the quarterfinal round of the NIT. 3-ball up. That one rattles out. That's no good, out of the hands of Braxton Beverly, and the rebound grabbed by Davidson.
In North Carolina State, a team that won 5 straight games heading into the ACC tournament, lost to Syracuse in their first game, the 8-9 matchup in the ACC tournament. But this is a team that was playing great basketball, and Kevin Keats wanted to make sure he got his players more action this year, especially his freshmen, because did not want that to be the last taste of basketball they had on this year.
The hook shot is in by Manny Bates, and the Wolfpack with a 4-2 lead.
Manny Bates has become a much better offensive option for Kevin Keats this year. And when you think about the fact that he's starting DJ Funderburk and Manny Bates up front, this is a much bigger lineup than what Kevin Keats is used to playing throughout his coaching career. But with injuries, he's been forced to get both these guys in the starting lineup because they are 2 of his best 5 players.
Kevin Keats in his 4th season as a head coach of the North Carolina State Wolfpack. 78 up, 46 down for him. A return to the NIT. They reached the NIT back in 2019. He's trying to get them, of course, back into the NCAA tournament next season. But Corey, talking to Coach Keats, you know, he knows this is a little bit of a different team without Devin Daniels.
They are a different team, but that's one of the areas that he wanted to see improvement of. And DJ Funderburk, the senior, Kevin Keats knows that he's capable of knocking down 3-point shots and stretching the floor. He hasn't shot the basketball as well as he was expecting this season from the perimeter, but off to a great start for DJ Funderburk.
This is a team in Davidson that can light it up from the outside. That's going to be one of the dynamics in terms of the matchups in this game. Long 3 by Kellen Grady misses. The rebound out to the Wolfpack.
We saw in the open, Kellen Grady 10 points away as Funderburk finds his way to the rim. Another easy look, in the defensive transition, covering screen and roll. Not great for Coach McKillop's group right now. Wants a timeout to talk it over.
Timeout Davidson. This will be a
7-0 run for North Carolina State. First round of the NIT. The NIT getting underway yesterday. Derek Jones and Corey Alexander with you this evening. As these two teams searching for a little momentum throughout the remainder of this season, and always an interesting dynamic as these teams get into the NIT and try to build towards the following season.
This is one of the areas where NC State loves to be able to put points on the board because it allows them to set up their full court pressure. Kevin Keats, one of the best when you think about coaches that like to, cause issues for you in 94 feet area. Of course, cut his teeth with Rick Pitino at Louisville, part of that the 2013 National Championship staff.
Grant Huffman in for the Wildcats. Long jumper is in from the baseline as Grady showing the high arcing rainbow to cut it to a 9-4 ball game.
And Coach McKillop talked to us about the fact that NC State will switch a lot defensively. So Kellen Grady will have to take advantage of his opportunities to go against mismatches and make Funderburk and Bates guard him on the perimeter.
The miss by Funderburk. Back to it down low. Another miss this time by Helms. And out come the Wildcats. Trailing by 5, 9-4.
And you see the switch once again. Grady looking to be passive at the top of the key. Not taking advantage of Funderburk on the perimeter where he has the advantage.
Long miss off the three-pointer by Luka Brajkovic. And the three is good on the other end by Helms. So Helms off to a nice start to extend the lead out to 8 at 12-4.
Well, it's always great when you get a dunk right off the tip to get you going. You see the ball go through the basket, which makes things much better for you moving forward. Now Jericho Helms knocking down the three, and he's made a transition to the small forward position with this big lineup for Kevin Keats. But Coach Keats saying his versatility allows him to be able to play both positions, the 3 or the 4.
Hunjun Lee missing on the 3. Back the other way as Beverly. His layup is good.
We
so
talked
the miss
about
turning into offense.
Yeah, we talked about Kevin Keats wanting to get his young guards more playing time, but really it was these seniors. It was DJ Funderburk, Braxton Beverly, and then the upperclassmen and Jericho Helms. Those are the guys who basically said, hey, we want to play. We don't want our season to be over. And right now, all these young men getting off to a great start.
Foul by Funderburk will usher us into a stop on the floor. 14-4 lead for North Carolina State. The last time these two teams met, a young Steph Curry gave LeBron James a sneak peek into what he was to become. We'll show you that when we come back. ESPN's exclusive presentation of the NIT is brought to you by New York Life, helping people act on their love for 175 years. Let's go back to December 6, 2008, when 20-year-old Steph Curry put on a show for 23-year-old LeBron James, who was in Charlotte to play the Bobcats. Curry scored in a variety of ways, hitting from 3, scoring on drives, and late in the game, with the clock winding down, hit the game clincher and gave a little smile to LeBron, who came out of his seat. 12 years later, they're two of the best players to perhaps ever play the game. And Davidson getting the 72-67 win over North Carolina State. And Corey, Steph Curry, my goodness. What a performance in that game when you take a look at the field goal totals in particular.
Well, he got his looks at it, no question about it, in that game. 33 attempts, 4 for 14 from the field, from three-point land. But that was just foreshadowing what was to come. Steph Curry, who of course has made the three-pointer extremely popular in the NBA. And when you're getting 14 of them up in a college game, that's saying something in itself.
And right on cue, a three-pointer out of the hands of Michael Jones. So Jones drilling it from deep.
That's what Davidson's going to have to do to beat NC State. We mentioned the loss to Syracuse, the only loss in the last 6 games for the Wolfpack. Syracuse knocked down 14 threes in that game. That's one way you have to combat the pressure of the Wolfpack.
And the steal, Grady down the floor. Can't finish it off, but a trip to the free throw line for the All-A-10 member.
Fouls on NC State's number 2, Shaquille Moore.
Get an opportunity to look at Steph and Kellen Grady, and these two met actually at a Duke game when Kellen came down to watch the Blue Devils play. Steph was in the arena watching his little brother Seth play when he was with the Blue Devils, but Seth wore his Davidson jersey to that game to make sure no one was confused about where his alliance was in that game. And of course, Kellen Grady, idolizing Stephen Curry, decides that he's going to come to Davidson. And now you see Kellen Grady, an opportunity, I believe, 7 points away at this point. Make it 6 from becoming the 6th member of the 2,000-point club of the Davidson Wildcats.
The Boston native able to knock down both. Talking to Coach McKillop, one of the things that he made note of, he said one of the tremendous aspects of Steph Curry is he always lets you know that he went to Davidson, which is such a testament to the type of person he is. The layup is in right down the left side from Darion Sebron.
And right now you see NC State attacking the basket. Very little resistance at the rim for Davidson, and that's been an issue for them as Grady gets a wide open look, unable to take advantage of it. But you're going to see NC State continue to attack that painted area, especially when you think about Funderburk and Manny Bates in the lineup.
The three-pointer out of the hands of Sebron, not connecting. And this is a team without Devin Daniels that has been more reliant upon low post play, which is a counter to Davidson, who is not afraid to shoot it from deep. Brajkovic faked the screen for Grady. Grady all the way in with the right hand, missing. Strong off the back of the iron.
You know, Derek, one of the things we talked with Coach McKillop yesterday, and he said that he felt like that 2008 season and the back-to-back games where Steph went for 44 against NC State and then I believe put up 40 against West Virginia the next time out. He said that he felt like that was the Steph Curry coming out party. I rarely disagree with Bob McKillop. However, I believe everybody already knew about Steph Curry at that point. My grandma Lucy, who's at home watching right now, is 91. She knew about Steph Curry. And if she knows about Steph, everybody knows about Steph. She only follows basketball when I'm on TV. Hey, Grandma, I hope you're doing well.
The shot by Jericho Hellmans there. And let's be honest here. Remember, that's the follow-up to the Elite Eight season.
Correct.
So that's one of the dynamics with that reference that McKillop made.
And again, I don't like to disagree with Coach McKillop. But I believe the world knew. But again, LeBron James isn't showing up at Stephen Curry's games if people don't know about Stephen Curry. I think they knew exactly who he was at that point. You're talking about one of the best college basketball players of all time, and got it done over 20 points a game as a freshman.
Pull-up J trickles in for Shaquille Moore. So the Greensboro, North Carolina native extending the lead out to 9 at 20-11. It's been a slow start here offensively for Davidson, similar to what happened to them last time out against VCU in the A-10 tournament.
Coach McKillop talked about the similarities of the two teams and how they would pressure and switch on the defensive end of the floor.
And that will be a player control foul against Grant Huffman. One of the most important jobs on the NC State staff is the ice cream man. We'll explain after the break. 9-point lead for North Carolina State over Davidson. Derek Jones and Corey Alexander with you tonight. First round of the NIT. We get a look at the ice cream man, Chris Zupko, who's the assistant director of basketball operations with the Wolfpack. And he has an important job because he's the man who has to secure the ice cream orders and the ice cream for the teams, but only after road wins for North Carolina State. And that is an important note because Coach Keats, Corey, he doesn't want any bad momentum going around the team suspecting they might win in advance. This is something that is a tradition for them, but only after road wins.
Well, many coaches are superstitious, and Kevin Keats falls right into line with that. And Keats, who gave up ice cream and really went to the lactose-free ice cream, as Manny Bates gets an easy one under the bucket. Coach Keats wouldn't even eat the ice cream on the road because it was a win, and he did not want to mess with any type of superstition. And so, of course, has moved on to lactose-free ice cream, but not on the road.
2-on-1 off the turnover and a foul on the drive as Jericho Helms actually is able to again draw another situation where he can get to the free throw line here, get some offense going off the defense. So Helms able to get something going here.
That's the thing for NC State. It's forcing turnovers and scoring points off of turnovers. When they force 15 or more turnovers in the game, they're 10-1 on the season. However, only 3 wins this year when they do not force at least 15 turnovers. So part of their offense feeds off of their defense, and Coach Keats wants to make sure he keeps his guys in the passing lane, applying pressure on the opponents, and it's worked thus far for the Wolfpack here over Davidson.
Corey, how about the desire to want to play in the NIT? North Carolina State coming out with a lot of energy early, up by 12.
Well, you have to have it from your upperclassmen, from your seniors, from your leaders. If they have the energy, the younger players will follow suit. You know, I played in the NIT my first year as a freshman, and to be completely honest, I didn't want to play in the NIT that season. I went to the University of Virginia to play in the NCAA tournament. I felt like we got snubbed and didn't want to play in the NIT. However, our leaders, Bryant Stiff, Anthony Oliver, Ted Jeffries, Doug Smith, those guys wanted to play, keep our season going, and their energy led us to an NIT championship later that spring.
The Wolfpack starting out this game 9 of 13 from the field earlier on, and they have really been able to keep things going in the midst of a 7-0 run with their largest lead of the game at 12 at 23-11.
But you look at who is producing thus far. It's Funderburk, it's Bates, it's Helms, it's Braxton Beverly. It's the veteran guys that Kevin Keats brought in individually to talk to and ask simply on 2 separate occasions, do you want to play in the NIT? Because again, you're now going, to Texas in another bubble and sacrificing your time as a college student, etc. So do you want to do this and possibly for another 2 weeks, or do you want to call it a season?
We get a look at Davidson, based out of Davidson, North Carolina, and it's a smaller school, but a school that has a lot of tradition, Corey.
It really is, and when you consider the academic reputation of Davidson, and that reputation is true, not anyone can just get into Davidson. They have very strict guidelines regarding who they admit into their student body, and rightfully so, a great academic institution that happens to have a Hall of Fame level basketball coach on the sideline.
You saw the reference to the midnight screams there, signifying the first day of exams, as barreling into the lane and going glass is DJ Funderburk. That builds the lead to 14.
And right now, no answer for Funderburk thus far for Coach McKillop and the Davidson defense. And Coach McKillop is an offensive genius. Davidson has struggled on the defensive end of the floor at times, but offensively is where they're at their best. But North Carolina State doing a great job taking away all the easy opportunities, especially when you consider what Kellen Grady has done all season and all career long.
A deep 3 by Carter Collins, and he's one of the guys who can help fill it up.
And you see now
talked to
Davidson going to the zone defense to try to slow down Funderburk and NC State on the offensive end of the floor. No answers for the Wolfpack in man-to-man. Coach McKillop going to try the zone. As you see, rotating over to the screen and roll, and just not enough size there to take Funderburk away, and also a late rotation as Davidson continues to struggle on the defensive end of the floor.
And that a microcosm, the shooting percentages of what we've seen so far, as a deep jumper out of the hands of Funderburk, just missing a three-pointer with the foot a few inches in on the line, as the lead at 13.
Davidson basketball.
Kevin Keats has to be pleased with what he's seen so far from the Wolfpack, making their 13th all-time appearance in the NIT.
And you mentioned 2019. That was a year I honestly felt as though NC State should have been in the NCAA tournament, as well as Clemson during that year. Both teams with very high net rankings at the end of the season, but snubbed in the NCAA tournament. And again, Kevin Keats does not want to be in the NIT. He didn't come to North Carolina State to be an NIT program. He wants to be in the NCAA. A lot of injuries this year, missing Thomas Allen. Of course, Devin Daniels tearing his ACL, late January, affected this team's ability to be successful in their depth on the season. However, you got to love the way that they've approached the NIT.
Grady fouled on the drive. A lot of players have stepped up this past year on and off the court. We'll tell you about Kellen Grady's stand when we come back. (27-14) lead for North Carolina State over Davidson in the NIT first round. Derek Jones and Corey Alexander with you this evening. And Kellen Grady has been quite busy off the court for North Carolina State, and he had an incident that took place last summer, August 27th, where he went to a counter demonstration that was nearby campus. He was referred to, as you see here on the tweet, several derogatory remarks. He was called a thug numerous times, and he was publicly targeted based on solely on the color of his skin. And when you take a look at what he's been able to do as a part of the last year, he had already started the CARE initiative with athletes around the country, obviously very frustrated with the social injustice issues, the racial issues that popped up around the country throughout the summer, and Grady doing a lot of tremendous work as a part of that for North Carolina State's athletics program and around the country, Corey. Very commendable job by that young man.
Kellen Grady, of course, biracial, but really can appreciate the fact that he was willing to step out there. And Coach McKillop talked about, this didn't just start. They've had Davidson student athletes speaking up for what they believe in forever, but he's extremely proud of Kellen Grady for the way that he's not only spoke up, but also put his work and his effort into his cause.
Two-handed sledgehammer jam by Funderburk.
And you see time and time again, Funderburk getting a free run to the rim, pick and roll action, and right now, Davidson still trying to trap the screen, but the ball handler, whether it's Cam Hayes, whether it's Braxton Beverly, whomever it may be, getting rid of the basketball on time. But the defensive rotation underneath for Davidson is not there, allowing Funderburk to have a free run to the rim. And right now, 11 points already for DJ Funderburk here in the first half.
Brajkovic with the rebound, lays it up and in. So Luka Brajkovic trying to get his teammates going. They're down 11, 29-18 with 6:50 left to go.
And right
first
now,
half action.
DJ Funderburk getting Cam out of the way. If it's not broke, don't fix it. Davidson, you've got to continue to go to DJ Funderburk on the offensive end of the floor. He just missed the bunny on that one.
And turned right back over. The layup is in from Sebron.
And Darian Sebron doing a great job getting up, continuing to apply pressure even after a miss, and getting an easy bucket as his production has gone up significantly since the injury to Devin Daniels.
Straight on three, missing. And a loose ball tracked down by the Wolfpack. In the lane, the drive with the right hand missing. As Sebron unable to get that one to go. Lee, another key cog for Davidson that has been pretty quiet. Point blank range, lays it up and in.
And good for Lee to get an easy bucket, see it go through, because he is a knockdown three-point shooter. And once you see the ball go through the basket, getting an easy one like that can help your confidence. Coach McKillop talked to us about the fact that this team, if they're not shooting the basketball well, they struggle on the defensive end of the floor. And we've seen that thus far as they've had a hard time defending NC State. But when Manny Bates and DJ Funderburk are getting opportunities like this, it's going to be difficult for anyone to stop them.
Manny Bates, one of the best in the ACC. Adding to the lead, it's at 13, 33-20. Rajkovic stuck, looking for help. Grady three, short. A Wolfpack rebound.
Right now, Davidson 2 for 13 from beyond the three-point arc. This is a team that has to shoot the three very well to win, especially against this level of competition, and it just has not been there early in this game.
Bates trying to dig in there at the low block, and a foul.
And we continue to see pick and roll action for NC State. DJ Funderburk, 11 points in the first half, 5 for 7 from the field, a career 57% field goal shooter who is second right now in program history.
Thirteen-point edge as Beverly trying to go along the tightrope baseline, and a turnover. Davidson this season, food for thought, 11-0 this season when leading at halftime, 2-7 when they are not.
This Davidson team got off to a great start this year, but lost 2 games early to Texas and to Providence. In both of those one-possession games where they had opportunities to win at the end. Coach McKillop talked to us about the fact of how fragile confidence on a team is. With those wins, this season probably would have been gone much differently, and it wouldn't have been an NIT season with either of those wins, most likely NCAA tournament season, regardless as to whether they won the A-10 or not. Those games happened, of course, the Maui Invitational that took place in Asheville, North Carolina. Texas, the eventual winner.
An errant pass, an 11-point lead for the North Carolina State Wolfpack. More NIT action after this.
Kevin Connors, Sean Farnham, Coach Seth Greenberg coming up at the half. We'll deep dive into our first half, plus set the table for Boise State SMU. 2 sensational scores ready to go at it in that one. Sean, offensive struggles for Davidson, but that's not all.
No, it's been a lot of defensive struggles, and part of those defensive struggles have been because of their offense. But if you can't get stops, you're not going to win. It's as simple as that. And right now, North Carolina State shooting 71% from the field.
Yeah, the thing about the NIT is your players got to be ready to play, especially an ACC program. And I am really impressed with the job Kevin Keats has done, getting his guys ready to play, and the defense they're playing. Hey, Corey, I got a question. When you played in the NIT, did you play any defense or you just shoot the thing?
Well, Coach Greenberg, you know my forte. However, playing for Jeff Jones, I didn't have much choice other than play defense, or I wasn't going to play. So I played the least required amount of defense possible. But I got buckets, and that's what JJ had me on the court for.
Kevin, Seth, and Sean coming up at the half. 11-point lead for the Wolfpack. And as we heard, obviously the shooting, and as we've seen, a big storyline here, 71% so far for the Wolfpack, and another dunk this time by Manny Bates.
But NC State well prepared for the zone. Coming out of the timeout, Kevin Keats preparing his group, going out on the floor, knowing that Davidson's trying to find a way to stop them and switch up defenses.
Great move by Kellen Grady to get to the 10. And with that, Grady now at the 2,000-point barrier for his Davidson career, becoming just the 6th player in program history to hit that mark. Air ball by Beverly. Layup is there by Bates.
But right now, NC State just dominating on the interior. And when you look at this game, the field goal percentage 17 for 24 for NC State right now, 71%, and they have just dominated the rebounding margin as well, especially when you consider the offensive glass.
Approaching 2 minutes left to go in half one. It's been largely controlled here by North Carolina State. Bates barreling his way into the lane. He gets fouled.
NC State doing a great job sharing the basketball. Shaquille Moore with the look to Manny Bates. And when you give Manny Bates an opportunity that close to the rim, you may as well get out of the way. Otherwise, you're just giving yourself a chance to be on a poster.
First one a little too strong off the back of the iron. The foul charge to Nelson Bochi Yedem, his first. And talking to Coach McKillop, Corey, he mentioned confidence being an issue potentially for this team. He felt like it was a little bit of a problem on and off throughout the season. Do you sense that here from what you've seen in this first half?
Well, I sense it from the role players of Davidson. Kellen Grady's come out. He's been aggressive. But when you think about his supporting cast, nice find there from Grady to Jones, who's able to get the easy bucket and the opportunity for the and one. But Kellen Grady's been aggressive, but he hasn't gotten much help from his teammates who normally, and especially Lee and Collins, who would be aggressive on the offensive end of the floor, but we haven't seen it from them. Oftentimes coming into this matchup in Davidson, an Atlantic 10 team, which is a very good basketball conference, playing against an ACC team, you wouldn't be intimidated by them, but there has been a little bit of, timidity by the Davidson Wildcats thus far in this game.
The lead cut to 10 at 37-27. Beverly picks up his second foul for the Wolfpack.
And you see the full court pressure from Davidson, but not really wanting to be too aggressive, because North Carolina State will take advantage of that when they beat the press. Teams that are practicing the pressure are used to playing against it, especially in this situation.
The jumper short, and the and one will happen for DJ Funderburk off the miss by Moore. Funderburk, who has played well in this first half, adding to the success for the Wolfpack.
But we've talked about finishing defensive possessions. Even after a missed shot, you see DJ Funderburk, Manny Bates continuing to battle on the glass. And Funderburk now with a three-point play to add to his tab. 14 points in the first half already for DJ Funderburk, who does not want his career at NC State to end here tonight.
The roster for North Carolina State has freshmen, it has seniors as well. It's a very either-or type of roster with experience versus more inexperienced players. As Brajkovic battling in, banks it home.
Brajkovic doing a good job trying to shield off Manny Bates at the rim. Difficult to score on Bates. We talked about his ability to block shots. 10th in the NCAA at 2.82 a game. Number 1 in the ACC. But Brajkovic does a great job. And if I'm Davidson right now with the opportunity to take the last shot of this first half, you might want to give him another opportunity, especially to eliminate a long rebound and get NC State out in transition for a last shot.
Brady surveying. Brajkovic lets it go. Got it. Luka Brajkovic with a three. And the counter is no good on the other end. And that might give Davidson a little bit of a lift heading into halftime.
I believe so. Brajkovic doing a great job and nice execution by the Wildcats to end the half and make it an 8-point game. Kevin Keats' team has been spectacular on offense. However, Davidson was able to find some rhythm on their offensive end in the first half.
8-point lead for North Carolina State. Let's take you to the studio with Kevin, Seth, and Sean.
All right, Derek, thanks very much. Needed finish for Davidson. They pulled to within 8 at the break as we welcome you into our college basketball studios alongside Sean Farnham and Coach Seth Greenberg. I'm Kevin Connors. Sean, the story of that first half, the domination by the NC State front court, 26 points in the paint.
Yeah, they did an outstanding job in execution in their offense. I mean, utilizing the strengths, their athleticism, and their size to overwhelm Davidson down low in the block. And time again, even when they went to the zone, they were patient enough to attack a gap and then find a way to deliver it to someone underneath that could finish around the basket. And I think that's what stood out most to me in the first half about how well North Carolina State was competing at the offensive end of the floor. When you get Vanderbilt going and Bates going, all of a sudden it opens up so much on the perimeter and the outside. I really am impressed with what they've done so far, Coach.
Yeah, I was really impressed with the preparation that Kevin had to play this game in terms of how hard they played, their spacing, their ability to get the ball inside. That's where their advantage is. Manny Bates, Thunderberg, Helms, those guys are elite players and are bigger, stronger, and faster. But that last possession that Davidson ran, running that curl off of that stagger and then flare screening off of that, that's Davidson basketball. Davidson can get back in this game by making threes, but not shooting on the first side, but by moving the defense side to side and getting deeper into their actions and challenge the defensive discipline of this NC State team. That's what they've got to do. Don't quick strike them. Move them, guard them, make them hard side to side, get deeper into the clock, own the tempo of the game, and then execute them down the stretch when all of a sudden NC State doesn't want to compete the same way at the end of the shot clock.
They got to turn up the heat defensively against an NC State team that had won 5 of 6 coming into this game. DJ Thunderberg, dominant in that first half. 6 of 8 from the field, 14 points. Wolfpack up by 8 at the break.
First round NIT action continues on from North Texas as it's Davidson trailing North Carolina State 40-32 as we get set for the second half in just a moment. A reminder, the winner of this game will take on the winner of Colorado State and Buffalo next Thursday night. Derek Jones and Corey Alexander back with you. And Corey, as you take a look at the first half, North Carolina State really controlled matters throughout.
They did, and they did it in the paint. A 26-12 advantage for the Wolfpack in the paint, getting the basketball in the painted area to DJ Thunderberg. 14 points for him in the first half, and he continued to attack the basket with very little resistance from the Davidson defense. But he wasn't alone. His sidekick, Manny Bates, getting it done not only defensively but offensively. 10 points for Bates in the first half, so the bigs combining to be a great 1-2 punch for the Wolfpack in the first half of this game.
As for Davidson, it's been a struggle from the outside for them. 3 of 14 from 3, and that's a turnaround for North Carolina State defensively. They allowed 14 threes in their loss to Syracuse in the ACC tournament. A far different setup this time around tonight.
But momentum for Davidson going into the halftime locker room. Brajkovic knocking down the 3 to end the half, making it an 8-point game where NC State had pretty much a double-digit lead throughout the first half.
Grady now in the 2,000-point club with Davidson into Brajkovic. Hook shot trickles out.
And amazing that Brajkovic did not want to spin back and go to the left hand. He would have had an easy layup, but that's reading the scout report. Manny Bates doing a great job trying to take away that right hand and not give Brajkovic a look in the paint.
As Helms that time with the fadeaway, just a little short.
Manny Bates came away from that possession a little bit gimpy. Sprinted back on defense, but you can see he's favoring something.
Cutting down low, Carter Collins once, twice, can't get it. The rebound grab by Helms. First round of the NIT from the home of the Mean Green in North Texas. Loose. Beverly with the kick out.
And NC State still just quicker to the basketball. Braxton Beverly's hustle Gives them a look, unable to finish it. Right now is Davidson trying to find a way to continue to cut into this lead and build some of the momentum built going into the halftime locker room.
Grady to the rim with the easy layup.
But one of the things you can see that Coach McKillop is doing and making a concerted effort for his team to do is bring Manny Bates out onto the perimeter. So therefore there is no one at the rim defensively for NC State to be able to defend, and they've done a great job. A number of looks, easy looks for the Wildcats here in the second half. Grady making one. Collins missed 2 on the previous possession.
Cam Hayes can't get anything going on the other end as Lee circles. Collins. Shot clock approaching 10 seconds. Lee, who has been held in check offensively. Down to 5. Hook shot. Brajkovic got it.
But Brajkovic just going to that left. Sells Manny Bates and then gets an opportunity to go over the top. Back to that right hand. But the fact that he spun back to the baseline, threw Bates off. Manny Bates overreacting and able to get the jump hook to go. And now we've got a 4-point game as Davidson is playing through the post in comparison to knocking down threes, which we're used to seeing from the Wildcats.
The Wolfpack 13-4 this season when leading at halftime, but their lead of 8 down to 4, make it 6 now after the layup by Braxton Beverly.
And Braxton Beverly has a little bit more of a pep to his step. He spent the majority of this season injured, battling back spasms, a number of minor nagging injuries. He continued to play, did not want to come off the court, but he has battled through a bunch of injuries this year. But right now today, you see he has a little more pep in his step as he draws near to the possible end of his college basketball career.
More so a three-point specialist, and he gets popped in the face there by Grady.
It'll be interesting to see. I believe the officials will go and check on this one. It was a basketball play. As Grady's just trying to clear space. And the left elbow makes contact with Braxton Beverly.
So the senior appears to be okay.
Yeah, and the officials don't go look at it, which I like the fact that they didn't, because that is a basketball play. It wasn't anything malicious, and you saw Kellen Grady immediately go over to try to help Braxton Beverly up.
Beverly can't connect on the 3, out of bounds, over to Davidson. Beverly with 215 three-pointers in his collegiate career. Trying to add to that total tonight.
Brajkovic. Bates having to guard Brajkovic at the top of the key, so therefore any passing, any cutting, you take Bates away as Brajkovic goes to the left hand, unable to finish. But I like his aggressiveness here in the second half, trying to go against one of the ACC's best defenders.
Funderburk with the jumper. DJ Funderburk continuing his strong play from the first half. He has 16 points, 7 of 9 from the field.
You know, NC State has not been a great defensive team, especially in the half court. But that didn't show up in the first half because they were so great on the offensive end of the floor. Now that they've slowed down offensively, you see where they have had issues guarding the action of Davidson. Once again, a cut right at the basket, wide open layup. And we talked in the first half about Bob McKillop being a offensive genius, and you see that now as they've made the adjustments coming out of the halftime locker room. A 6-point game, but some rhythm has been found offensively for Coach McKillop.
Hayes with the laner. Count it. So Cam Hayes out of Greensboro, North Carolina, the freshman, extending the lead out to 8 at 46-38.
And that's my guy. I asked Coach Keats yesterday to extend a personal message to Cam Hayes about my experience in the NIT as a freshman point guard and how that springboarded our group into a great season the following year as Cam Hayes continues to develop. But right now it's about the Davidson Wildcats executing on offense, getting easy looks, bringing Manny Bates out of the paint and trying to make this a ball game.
The NCAA Women's Championship first round begins Sunday at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific on ESPN. ABC has Middle Tennessee and Tennessee at 2 Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific, followed by Jackson State and Baylor. ESPN has Mercer, South Carolina, then High Point and UConn. All games are also available on the ESPN app, so you can watch anywhere. And certainly that UConn situation will be one to track. Their coaching staff is now down to 2 coaches in person due to COVID issues, including head coach Gino Auriemma.
This will be a tournament like none other when you consider what COVID has done. But fortunately for the NIT as well as the NCAA tournament, we're having an opportunity to play where in 2020 there was no NIT nor NCAA tournament. So although COVID has had an effect on this year's college basketball season, 80% of the games have been played, and we're fortunate to be in March and in the postseason.
No question, many programs have had to deal with stoppages, and many have been able to keep things going. It's an 8-point game here, 46-38. The lob tipped away, intended for Brankovic, but the Wolfpack there to answer defensively. Funderburk in, count it, and one.
Great defensive reaction by Jericho Helms to get over and tip the basketball away, and then running the floor, DJ Funderburk is able to seal and find his spot in the post, continues to go to work as he now has a game-high 18 points, trying to make it 19 at the free throw line. But we talked in the first half about the way that your veterans respond in playing in the NIT. Do they want to just get the season over with, or do they want to continue playing? DJ Funderburk, Jericho Helms, they have shown thus far that they want to continue playing.
Corey, we saw Davidson able to get some momentum going on their side. They were able to cut it to a 4-point game, but credit North Carolina State, they've answered.
And credit North Carolina State's defense, because they've locked in the last few possessions and seen what's hurt them and made the adjustment. So both these coaches doing a great job of adjusting to whatever changes the other makes. And right now, NC State building back that 11-point lead.
And that includes slowing down Hyunjun Lee, who only has a pair of points this evening. And again, the defense of North Carolina State, sensational. Braxton Beverly making the play.
Great job by Braxton Beverly getting up, putting the pressure on defensively, and really just taking away Huffman's ability to be able to operate on the offensive floor. You see, as soon as he faces him up, and once that dribble is lost, Braxton Beverly is all over the basketball, doing a great job forcing the turnover.
Helens into the post. Bates, double team, hook shot, got it.
And that was a play where Jericho Helms wanted to call his own number, but recognized that he saw Manny Bates with the defender on his back. Does a great job of making the right play and getting it to the big fella inside. But even though Helms didn't score on the other end of the floor, you see he picks up the defensive effort. Coach McKillop talked to us about the fact that so many players, young players today, their defense is in response to what they're doing offensively. And even though Helms gets the foul instead of the charge, I've got to love his energy and effort defensively picking up on that possession. I'm sure Coach Keach does as well.
And that's the first on Helms. Lee, he'll try a deep one. Got it. Hyunjun Lee from 3. And Davidson would love to get him going, Corey.
They really would, and they need to if they're going to have a chance to be successful in this game. You're talking about a young man in the 50-40-90 club, which is 50% from the field, 40% from 3, and 90 from beyond from the free throw line, and very few players have ever reached those levels.
How about Helms? He drills a 3, And it's a 13-point lead, so they get it right back. The Wolfpack out in front by double figures. More from the NIT. .13-point lead for the Wolfpack. Derek Jones and Corey Alexander with you. Corey, what's going on here?
Well, you see Jericho Helms just playing the right way. We saw him getting after it defensively the previous possession, and then he's rewarded with an opportunity to knock down a three. But Coach Keats going over to the official, he's talking about Helms on the defensive end of the floor. He felt as though his defender got in place in time to take the charge with the full court pressure. And you know, I talked about then, I liked his effort, and I knew Coach Keaton would as well, as he goes over to the officials fighting for his guy, getting it done on the defensive end of the floor.
The officials tonight, by the way, Amy Bonner, Kirby Sitton, and Trent Dubes. Interesting timeout there going into a quick breather for North Carolina State. Why do you think they opted to do that, Corey?
Well, they wanted to set up the pressure, and you see what they're going to do defensively here. They get Beverly up, but when you look at it, you don't have Kellen Grady on the floor. So when you have a backup point guard playing, you want to try to throw off the rhythm of the opposing team. And without Grady on the floor, Kevin Keats is trying to find a way to slow down Davidson on the offensive end. Ends up being a foul.
Bucci Edom gets bumped. And when we come back, we're going to jump into the time machine as we revisit something that might interest Corey Alexander, the NIT Championship.
Hey.
Let's jump back to 1992. There he is, freshman Corey Alexander and Virginia in the NIT Finals. Alexander scoring 21 points against LaFonso Ellis, and the Irish Brian Stith led the Cavs with 24 and was named MVP as Virginia won its second NIT championship. Corey, what do you remember about that?
I remember, well, I'll tell you what I remember. I thought I scored 24 points in that game. So scoring 21, that's new to me. I just thought it was 24, but great times for, you know, me and my teammates. We still talk about it. We're on the text today. I'm letting them know, hey, some of you guys are going to be on TV today when we show this. So, again, but a great time 29 years ago. Wow, time flies. But you consider the fact that many of the guys in that video who had hair then, even though some of us cut our hair bald for the NIT, no longer have hair. So, you know, I had to make sure I threw that shot at my guy.
Lee has to almost double clutch there to get the shot off. It's out of bounds. And they've been able to hold him in check most of the night here, with the exception of that three-pointer as he continues to struggle. Corey, that NIT run, what can that do for a team to have a deep run and possibly win the NIT championship moving forward?
It's huge. It builds chemistry, one. It gives you, of course, lifetime memories. But I believe we started out the following year 11-0. And that had a lot to do with the chemistry that we built and the experiences that we gained from playing in that NIT, and ended up being a Sweet 16 team the following year. And so I know I talked with Coach Keats about that yesterday, just from the standpoint of with his freshman guards, with Cam Hayes, Shaquille Moore, Darion Sebron, these are guys who can benefit from this experience and use it moving into next year, hopefully giving them an opportunity to have a much better season as a team as well as individuals.
We get a look there at Cam Hayes, one of the youngsters on this club. Lee popping out for three. Got it.
And that's what he does. And when you think about knocking down threes in Davidson, he's one of the best, especially on this year's roster, shooting over 40% from beyond the three-point arc, their best shooter. And he's gotten loose a couple times, but every time NC State has responded with a three of their own to build back up to a 16-point lead.
And that has to be so frustrating for Davidson here tonight. As almost every time they've been able to try to get some type of run going, the Wolfpack have been there to change things around, as Lee in the paint and a foul.
And you see Lee, and once again, we talk about Coach McKillop, his ability to design and execute on the offensive end of the floor, but defensively, no answer for them, but the answer is for NC State as they're able to knock down another three. Bates
Jones can't answer from deep. this the largest lead of the game thus far for the Wolfpack.
And Derek, if you tell me coming into this game that we have played 30 minutes right to this point, and NC State would have as many made three-point field goals as Davidson, I would expect for it to be a 16-point game, because NC State is going to win this game in the other categories. The one that Davidson has to be special in is from the three-point arc, and they have not been able to do so thus far.
And Corey, that's a key point, because as we talked about, without Devin Daniels in the mix for North Carolina State, the team's composition is a little different. It's more oriented down low, whereas Davidson specializes in that three-point shot. It just hasn't been able to fall, and you have to credit North Carolina State for slowing things down as Hayes connects.
And Cam Hayes has been shooting the basketball very well as of late.
The lead at 19, largest of the game. This is a wire-to-wire performance so far for the Wolfpack. Grady can't hit the step back. That out of bounds and last touched by North Carolina State. But you take a look there, even on that sequence, Corey, there are just so many red jerseys down there for North Carolina State almost every time a shot goes up.
Well, and if you're not going to make threes, they're going to continue to help on that interior until you knock down a couple threes and force them out of it. But, you know, Cam Hayes knocking down the three. He's shooting a hot basketball. Came into the game shooting 12 of his last 28 from three in the last 5 games. So he has been playing very good basketball here to end the season. That's one of the things we talked about, building momentum for next year, which he could actually be a freshman again next year. So, of course, interesting times in the NCAA where this year for many guys won't even count towards the eligibility.
Helms again, and Helms having a strong evening. The layup back down the other way is in from Michael Jones as he beats the defense down the floor to cut it to a lead of 19 for North Carolina State. We'll be back in 30 seconds. More from the NIT. NCAA Women's Championship first round begins Sunday over on ESPN2 and the app. We'll have Wake Forest and Oklahoma State at 1 Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, followed by Florida Gulf Coast and Michigan. One of the best times on the sports calendar, the NCAA Tournament men's and women's action back in bloom after a hiatus a year ago because of COVID. Now back, and so great to see postseason action happening at all levels. And here it's a 19-point lead for North Carolina State. The winner goes on to play Colorado State or Buffalo next Thursday.
So Buffalo's playing the Buffaloes? Is that what you just said?
Well,
when you know you have that coming, you have to find a way to get that pun in. You've got Buffalo playing the Buffaloes, and you let that go? Come on, Derek.
I'm not taking any more chances tonight.
Yeah, I understand. You still probably going to be facing some heat from the Wolfpack faithful. WPN, I apologize for my partner. He did not mean it.
Look, as someone who has family in North Carolina, I offer my sincerest apologies. It was an honest mistake. Nonetheless, we press on. And what a performance by the Wolfpack. And Cam Hayes, by the way, 8 points, all of them coming in half two. Down low and a travel. Bates shuffled the feet before he took off. The Wolfpack out in front. More action from the NIT in a moment. Wolfpack lead at 65-46. Derek Jones and Corey Alexander with you. And as we get a look there at Coach Kevin Keats of North Carolina State, certainly it was an interesting offseason for all of college basketball because of COVID, but also because of everything going on with social justice battles and Pack United, something that was really created by members of the North Carolina State Athletics Department and the athletes in particular. Corey, Coach Keats was a part of that athletics community that went out as a part of PAC United to help really inform people and let people know about what's going on in terms of social injustice.
But Coach Keats also left the majority of the voice up to his players. One thing he said is he wanted to see how they felt. They had their conversations, and he also allowed them to express themselves more so than it was going to be him on the front line going out and speaking on their behalf. So give Kevin Keats a lot of credit for allowing his players to empower their voices and use them on their platform in comparison to the coach speaking out for everyone.
Lee hits from deep. Lee by way of South Korea. His family well versed in the game of basketball. His mom was an Olympian, played on the 1984 Olympic team. And certainly when you take a look at his exploits shooting the basketball, great find for the Davidson program.
Well, and that's one of the areas where Davidson has been able to not only explore the United States, but explore the world from their international influence. As you see Lee's mother guarding the GOAT, the greatest of all time, Cheryl Miller.
And that experience, I mean, as we see Ann Donovan there as well, that experience, you know, is invaluable to learn from your parents as well, who have such strong ties to the game of basketball. His father was a coach as well.
But Bob McKillop does a great job of recruiting internationally. I was talking with Coach McKillop a couple summers ago about a young man who wanted to go to Davidson, and I was helping him with his recruiting. And Coach McKillop told me, said, Corey, hey, we're going to talk next week when I get back. I'm going to Europe for one of my former players' weddings. And, you know, he spends at least 2 weeks every summer in Europe. Of course, he didn't this past summer, but every summer in Europe recruiting, but also will be the first to tell you he has more recruiting networks in Europe than he does in the United States. That's how popular Davidson College has become internationally. Of course, Seth Curry having a lot to do with that, but more of it having to do with Coach McKillop's relationships going back to when he was the head coach of Long Island Lutheran in New York City as a high school basketball coach in the 80s.
Foul there by Hayes while guarding Huffman, and you can see Coach McKillop on an excellent list to be a part of. 600 wins at one school, 607 with Davidson.
And so that everyone knows, that graphic is 600 wins at coaching only at one school. Because, of course, there are other coaches, one by the name of Krzyzewski, who has a lot of wins, well over 600 at Duke. So that is coaches who only coached at one college program.
Huffman down low, lays it up and in. Still plenty of time left as we hit under 6 minutes left to go. And with this three-point shooting of Davidson, as they are in the midst of a 7-0 run, they can cut into this potentially pretty fast.
But the thing for Davidson is, how do they stop NC State on this end of the floor? And as the Wolfpack continue to get open looks, they have to finish the defensive effort. Coming up with the offensive board right there for Funderburk, finding Bates. It's hard to come back when teams are able to rebound their missed shots and get easy points as a second chance bucket.
And because of the shooting in this game by North Carolina State, not a lot of high rebounding totals in this game. Brajkovic working down low, can't finish, good contest. Hayes snatches it away for the Wolfpack. (25-19) edge on the rebounding side. Beverly gets it to trickle in. Braxton Beverly wanted that one, got a little extra English.
Braxton Beverly, the senior who's been through a lot in his North Carolina State career, and of course this year battled through injuries. He's one of those guys that you root for and love to see be successful coming down the stretch. as he nears the end of his college basketball career.
Huffman, short. The offensive board, loose ball as now. The rebound taken by Bates, but a foul.
And Braxton Beverly, who's made over 200 three-pointers in his Wolfpack career, adds one to the total. Most of his haven't used this much rim, but regardless, he'll take it as his teammates celebrate another three from the senior, who really is the heart and soul of this Wolfpack team when you consider what he's meant to this program. He came to NC State, a battle with eligibility. He actually signed at Ohio State, went there only for summer school, transfers to NC State, and then wasn't immediately eligible to play. But he came in with Coach Kevin Keats. So Braxton Beverly, Coach Keats will always be synonymous when you think about the start of Coach Keats' career at NC State. And Braxton Beverly has been a mainstay in this program for him for these 4 years.
Beverly, one of 5 players in program history with at least 200 three-pointers. Bates hits the deck. $18-point advantage here, and you take a look at really the overall composition of Davidson as far as where their strength is scoring the basketball coming into this game. Grady, Lee, and Collins all double figures. They accounted for over 55% of the offense heading in, and they've been relatively quiet here for the most part tonight.
Yeah, Grady got off to a hot start, but he's cooled down. And you see Lee knocking down 3 threes here in the second half with his 11 points, but probably a little too late for Lee. And Collins only 1 3-pointer in this game. Brajkovic has been their guy offensively. He's their 4th double-figure scorer, averaging over 10 a game. But he's been the guy really that's given them more on the offensive end of the floor than anyone, especially here late.
Lee hits the first free throw. The NIT continues tonight at 9 Eastern with SMU versus Boise State. For more, go to ncaa.com, your official online home for all 90 NCAA championships. Lee gets both. A ton of activity from the free throw line either way.
Well, North Carolina State only 6 free throw attempts, and when you consider the damage they've done in the paint, most of those attempts have come on and ones. So as you mentioned, not a lot of activity. Davidson 8 for 11 from the line.
Beverly. A little off that time. Huffman grabbing the loose ball. Brajkovic slams it down.
But Brajkovic pump faking, even though Manny Bates wasn't even in the play, but that's the reputation of Manny Bates. When you know you're playing against a high-level shot blocker, you got to make sure he's not in the area before you get your shot blasted off the glass.
Approaching 3 minutes left to go. And North Carolina State with eyes on the quarterfinal round of the NIT. Beverly almost got that one to go, and a loose ball foul coming up. It'll be against Davidson.
It's been about the bigs for the pack. Big to big passing. Funderburk with the offensive board, dropping the dime to Manny Bates, who finishes strong.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, as we take a look at the NIT first round. Colorado State Buffalo winner will take on what appears to be North Carolina State, barring a comeback here from Davidson. Corey, meanwhile, we'll get a look at Memphis and Dayton on Saturday.
Yeah, Penny Hardaway, Anthony Grant, 2 of the best coaches coaching at their alma mater that were both players and great coaches going at it. Looking forward to that matchup on Saturday.
North Carolina State closing in with 2:52 left to go, up by 14 points. And this performance has to please head coach Kevin Keats after the loss to Syracuse in the ACC tournament, as DJ Funderburk continues his impressive evening. 9 out of the last 10 games now in double figures for Funderburk.
And that's one of the things. Kevin Keats did not want the last basketball to be what happened in Greensboro. You know, a game where they had come in winning 5 straight, playing very good basketball, end up shooting 36% from the floor against Syracuse. Syracuse has its way on the offensive end, knocking down 14 threes. It would have been an extremely difficult offseason for not only Coach Keats, but these players, knowing that that was their last basketball, and now they have an opportunity to, you know, create their own narrative here in the NIT.
Funderburk with those 2 free throws into the 20-point plateau as the hook shot falls in from Brankovic. And he has hit a career high with 21 points this evening. Hayes surveying. Outside to Beverly. 3 to shoot. Blocked by Lee. Grady. Outside, 3 ball up. Got it. Michael Jones drilling it from deep. And it's an 11-point game, 72-61, and a timeout call.
And Davidson's not going to go away easily. When you have the ability to shoot the 3 the way that they do, they're not going to just decide to walk away from this game and, you know, concede it to NC State. So Bob McKillop and his group going to continue to fight throughout the final buzzer. Still trailing by 11, but knocking down the 3. As you see, NC State just losing Jones along the baseline, allowing him too much time to line up the 3 and make it an 11-point game. And now for Davidson, they will come out of the timeout with some pressure, some full-court pressure, trying to force a turnover from NC State to see if they can find a way to make this a single-digit game and make it competitive here for the remaining 148.
The NCAA Men's Basketball Championship First Four continues tonight on True TV and TBS, or stream games on the March Madness Live app from anywhere. For more information on game times and networks, go to ncaa.com. And of course, this is the time of year where people are at work, and you know, if you're working from home or whether you're in an office at this point, I'm sure many people will be sneaking a few peeks of what's going on in the afternoon sessions here coming up over the next couple of days. And that includes North Texas, who is also a part of the NCAA tournament, and this game being played in the home of North Texas, Corey.
It is North Texas representing the Conference USA in the NCAA tournament. This year, their 4th appearance. And right now, you mentioned it, of course, the excitement behind this year's NCAA tournament, based upon the fact that there was no tournament in 2020, is at an all-time high. You know, a different tournament, of course, everyone in the bubble. All games taking place in the state of Indiana. A number of different sites, but there will be a lot of eyes on the television moving forward over these next 4 days, watching both tournaments, the NCAA as well as the NIT.
Beverly pressure. Trying to get out of it and breaks free. It's Funderburk. 2-on-1. The layup short. The follow. That is no good, but a foul. So Jalen Gibson will go to the line.
And Gibson, who hasn't played much in this game, not ready for that catch and finish. The Wolfpack doing a great job getting out of the trap, getting it to Funderburk, and Funderburk at 6'10", making the play. But that's one of the areas you have to continue to be aggressive at this point in the game. If you're going to be pressed, you've got to take advantage of it when you get 2-on-1 situation.
That's the second on Brankovic. And you mentioned Gibson there, Corey. This is really his first action of the game. And it's because of the injuries. It's not as deep, I'm sure, as Kevin Keats would like it to be off the bench.
See, NC State now going back into a 3-2 zone. But you have to be able to cover those threes. Too good a look for Lee on that possession. He's the one guy you got to make sure you pay attention to for the Wildcats. Especially in the zone defense, you don't want to give him good looks.
North Carolina State holding Davidson to just 7 of 23 from three-point land tonight. This is a team that is shooting it at a 36% clip for the season as Gibson down low gets hacked again, and he'll go back to the line.
And give DJ Funderburk a lot of credit. He's shared the basketball very well. You talked about tying a career high 21 points for him. But his passing, you know, with Manny Bates and now with Gibson here at the end of the game has definitely helped NC State to come within 57.9 seconds of securing the victory here in this first round of the NIT.
The NIT continues tonight at 9 Eastern with SMU versus Boise State. For more, go to ncaa.com, your official online home for all 90 NCAA championships. He can't connect there. 75-61, approaching 50 seconds left to go. That foul, the fourth charge to Bates Jones, the brother of New York Giants quarterback Daniel Jones, as a three missed by Kellen Grady. And a sign of the night for Davidson.
Well, this could be the end for Kellen Grady as the ice cream man celebrates. Not sure how he's going to get ice cream into this bubble. I don't know how that's going to happen, but again, hey, crazier things have happened. Maybe he can Uber Eats or whatever ice cream. But there's the could be the end of Kellen Grady's career at Davidson, as well as Bates Jones, as well as Carter Collins, the captains for this Davidson Wildcats team. There is professional basketball in the future for Kellen Grady, going over 2,000 points in this game here tonight.
A-10 freshman of the year, had a tremendous career, as we talked about throughout tonight's telecast. Deflected and a steal. 2-on-1 run out. And it's stolen right back. And that will likely close out the proceedings. Perhaps we'll find out if it's ice cream time tonight, later down the line for North Carolina State. They win it by the score of 75-61, Corey.
Kevin Keats inspiring his guys. Great performance by the Wolfpack. Starting off the NIT. The NIT is about whether you want to play or you don't. The Wolfpack wanted to play tonight.
They advance to the quarterfinal round. Once again, the final score, North Carolina State 75, Davidson 61. This has been a presentation of ESPN and the NCAA. For Corey Alexander, I'm Derek Jones, saying so long.
Inside our ESPN College Basketball Studios, alongside Sean Farnham and Coach Seth Greenberg, I'm Kevin Connors. First things first, congratulations. Kellen Grady, a fabulous career, 2,000-plus points, has the option to come back, but he's also got a professional career in front of him. Sean, as for NC State, we talked about it at the half. Davidson had to do a better job defending the paint. They could not. The Wolfpack's front court was the difference.
The size, the athleticism of North Carolina State was ever present in this game, and Funderburk and Bates were fantastic. And I think Coach Keats knew that was going to be an area in which they could potentially find a lot of success, and they did. I mean, those two guys combined went 15 of 17 shooting from the field. And when you put them in an operational area where they have a great deal of confidence, where they know it's a catch, turn, face, and find a way to score, you're not going to be able to stop them one-on-one. They did a great job spacing Davidson at the defensive end of the floor and making sure that they couldn't bring that double right away.
They get 51 points from the front court. But the bigger picture is that Kevin Keats got his team ready to play. When you're disappointed and you think maybe you're going to be an NCAA tournament team and you end up in the NIT and you know everyone else is basically part of March Madness, you've got to get your team ready to play. You want to play. You want to see if you can compete. Maybe back in the old days it would be get to New York City, play in Madison Square Garden. You don't have that now. So it's just another opportunity to have another game. Kevin Keats did a great job getting his team ready to play. In high DC, you saw it on the defensive end. Davidson's a hard prep. You've got to stay in the stance. You've got to be disciplined. You've got to fight through screens. You've got to communicate. They were ready to play defensively. They shared the ball offensively, and their front court dominated the game. 51 points from the front court. That's impressive, but more impressive to me is those guys were ready to play, and that's a testament to Kevin Keats and his staff.
And they'll be ready to play the winner of Colorado State and Buffalo, which is the next game in that bracket.